Imri, welcome aboard.
Hi everyone, hi Gadi. Thank you very much for having me.
Please take it away.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Let me know when you can see it. So I started about 8 months ago. I saw this comparison, DeepSeek, and I wrote about it. DeepSeek and other tools, and they were doing some, prompt to create this triangle thing. And I thought, hey, that's cool. Maybe I can do again with it. And I spent some time building something very basic with, again, then it was Cursor AI. And it was the first time I actually told it to write something that triangle. And I said, hey, you can actually build stuff with that. And I showed it to my son, and we were very excited. Hey, we can actually tell it, hey, add bullets, add engine flare, and all that stuff. And I thought, hey, I want to take it to the next stage and actually build a game with it. So I kind of sat on that idea for some time, and thought about what is the best platform to build a game. So I had a conversation with ChatGPT, and then we figured, hey, that's going to be Godot. So I thought, hey, I'll write a game using Godot. But then I sat with my son a second time, and I said, let's start planning a game. So this is a Google Doc that we set up. We said it was like a 30 minutes discussion, and we said, hey, we're going to want different types of enemies. That's us doing actual product work. We just wrote the requirements. Again, my son was 8-year-old. It was very fun for both of us. And then we started giving instructions to an agent to write this. I started this is not 8 months ago. This was more recent. And I did this with Cloud Code. So I'm going to show you. Here is my Cloud Code most recent. This is a relatively recent shot. It's me giving it instructions to do some stuff. And the idea I'm using for that is Cursor. But I saved the older logs from when I started this project. So this is me actually starting this project from scratch and using Godot. I actually added a Godot MCP so that Cloud Code can create entities within Godot. And it was pretty cool. It worked. So I'm going to show you the game. This is Godot, the IDE for game making. I'm not using that a lot, although when normally writing a game, you should. So this is the game. Everything here, like this is 95% vibe coded. This is the game. I can fly around, and I actually added a debug console. So I'm going to upgrade missile. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do a God mode, and I'm also going to spawn enemy mothership just so that it's going to be interesting. And I'm going to do enable auto shoot. So like it's going to fire those missiles, and everything that you see, including explosions, damage, all of that has been vibe coded. The thing is that everything I had to specify the requirements one by one. Now build a menu. Now build the pause menu. Now build the options menu. Now do the auto fire option. Now create the mothership. Now create the mothership, create those other enemies. Now create the debug console, which is so critical for me developing this. And it progressed so much more than me just writing a game with my son. I set like a goal for myself. Can I only with vibe coding take this small game to production? I want to put it on Steam just as a challenge to myself. Can I do it end to end and put a game on Steam? I don't want to, I'm not looking to earn a lot of money out of it, but that's going to be an interesting challenge. So what it took to actually build this game, and that was a lesson from my first iteration, which was with Python and Pygame, is that at the first go I had with it, after a few iterations of working with the AI agent, it would break down. The code was one big file. It wasn't stable. Every time I add another request, it would add more and more errors. And this time I thought I would write it from scratch correctly. And part of that is setting the correct architecture. And another part of that, and one of the most critical ones, is testing. So I'm going to show it here. I have the test running. For example, I can run a test that's right now failing on the feature that I'm developing right now. It's actually somewhat passing. I'm developing a split that when a laser kills an enemy, the enemy kind of breaks apart. I only specify the product and I let Claude actually do the development. And I think that when vibe coding testing is one of the most critical thing to make sure that the AI agent is actually doing the right thing. So just with my last few minutes, I have the Claude MD. One of the most critical instructions is how to do test, always run test, always use that. So that's it, 5 minutes.
Heck yeah. You've run into what seems to be a well-documented problem, at least on our channel, which is the AI model, even when you're using a very large context window, can only keep so much in mind at a time. So you tend to break it out by modules and let it co-work on those and then test the integration quite heavily. Does that seem to be accurate?
Yes. So actually, usually I just work for this project, I just work with Claude, and it would clear the context window every once in a while. I found that it is much more obedient to Claude MD. It works well. The tests are not so much to maintain the context window as too much that when it iterates, it doesn't break the other stuff, and it kind of forces it to do things correctly. Now, because it is writing the test itself, it is not writing really good tests. The tests are kind of so-so. In my own, startup actual work projects, the tests are significantly of higher quality, but even these tests are significantly better than not having tests, and they are forcing the agent to kind of do the right thing.
How often do you remind it to not be a junior and write tests?
Quite a lot, although I found that with the recent update that it has this plan mode. When you asked it to work with plan mode, it follows the instructions in CloudMD much better and almost always enforces itself to run through the test. And sometimes it will finish implementing something and then would run the test and then would say, hey, I have a failure here and I have a memory warning here, but that's not a problem because that existed before I started this. And it's like 95% vibe coded. No, you did this, you broke this, you need to finish everything. And so I have to tell it, no, it's only over when there are 0 failures, 0 warnings. So then it would iterate. That's like most of the time that I prompt Claude with this, it's fix the tests, fix the tests, fix the test, and avoiding the curse words here. But yeah, it's that.
And
100%.
I think we have some questions in the chat one, but one more question for me. So you said you want to purely vibe code with your kid. What made the 95% mark? Why did you give up?
So there are some cases where there were problems where it just couldn't solve it. For example, the laser cutting thing would not be solved. Some other areas with explosions where I need explosions, literal explosion graphics in the game where I had, or the missile graphics, like the engine flare of the missile, I had to go in and tell it, change this a little bit, change that a little bit, or fixing tests, like the stuff where it just, no matter how many iterations, it just wouldn't be able to solve it. And I had to put my actual developer hat on and solve it for him.
And you use Claude Code for coding and Cursor for editing?
Yes, although I did use Cursor Agent a little bit. So Claude Code is useful when you just want to give it, hey, add this feature. But if you're looking at a function and say, this function is broken, Cursor is just significantly nicer for that because you can focus on a specific function and say, hey, this function is not working correctly. Can you fix it?
Daniel's asking for more details on the laser cutting example.
So it will take me a minute to show that. Give me a sec.
No worries, people definitely voted more time.
Yeah.
All right. So laser cutting. Let's do upgrade laser. Let's do that a few more times, and let's enter God mode, and let's spawn enemy mothership. That's my usual debugging procedure for the laser cutting, the magnet, and spawn power up secondary damage. That's how, as a product manager, I would, every time a feature is developed, I would do that. And then let's say I want to break this thing down. You see the cuts are not, here's an asteroid. You see the the parts are here, but it's not looking right here. You see they are flying apart, and I can't for the life of me get the different fragments to kind of break apart close to each other, and it cannot figure out, and I will need to dive deeply into that. I spent like a day worth of iterating on that, like it not net time, but like calendar day of me telling it, hey, fix the fragments. It's still not working, and it would think that, hey, it's the physical force pushing that apart, but I think it's more like collision logic or something like that. And I still haven't solved it, and I'm trying to avoid actually reading the code and getting Claude to solve it, but not there yet. I hope that answers the question.
That definitely answered the question. I'm not a game programmer at all, but I've heard often where there's like, you run into a problem where it's less about simulating what's actually happening and more kind of what you want to happen. I think that's the intuition that Sunil's referring to in his question. That's crazy.
So the thing is that I try to instruct Claude that when you write a test, don't test for stupid things like the speed equals 600, test like the actual behavior that you want to see. It's hard to get it to work this way with the test because it's like always cheating on the tests. But when you get it to work, it's really great. And it's surprisingly better at writing features than at writing tests. And the fact that the way it's structured with Godot, it's usually like the structure is well enough that it's harder for it to break things, but the test, because once the test is there, the feature is there, it's harder for Claude or any AI agent to break the other stuff because the tests are protecting the other code from breaking. So, and another important thing is that whenever a feature is completed, and I actually want to share the screen again just to show you, whenever a feature is completed, I always commit. So I have like the history from this started like a month ago. This is the first commit, and I added shooter enemies. I have a spec file. Just let me show. That's like the spec. One of the instructions is every time you finish a feature, write the details of the implementation into the spec file, and like here the history of the features that I added. The player can die. I added the menu. I added another enemy. All of that stuff. It's like it's still work, but I feel more like a product manager than a developer. Although definitely my technical experience and knowledge on how to structure software correctly is significant in getting this to actually work.
And how much faster did it take you, or slower did it take you to do this?
So I guess that things that would take Claude like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to implement, while I watch a YouTube video, it would take me like a day or two of research. For example, the explosion graphics where we built like a shader or the particle things. I don't know how to write actual Godot stuff. I told it to do so. That's one of the advantages of using agents. But when it has like the part that it's not good at is not writing good enough tests. So iterating on that and hey, don't be a junior developer. Don't tell it, hey, it's okay that the test is failing. Just get back to me only once all the tests pass. That's wasting my time. Also my calendar time. Sometimes I discover it's hard to concentrate on other stuff while it's running in the background, but I try to kind of do other stuff, ideally productive stuff. But it's also fun, like to do that while watching Netflix. Like I would watch a TV series and in the background try to do stuff with the game and like get a few more iterations going.
Very cool. Well, as a final question, Ron asked, did you run the code through any security scanners? And I'll upgrade the question to, did you write any security tests?
So actually, no, this is just a local game. There's no networking. There's no multiplayer. I did do, so Claude Code has a new feature that has a security review. So I ran through that. I also did it on my, on startup code and so on. It's fun to do that. There's also a code review feature. I do that also from time to time. But generally, because it's local, a game thing, I'm not too concerned about security. But when I write production code for my own startup, for consulting opportunities and so on, obviously I do a more thorough review of the code. Yes.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll remind you that I think 15 years ago we discussed how your brother said you don't always need security, which makes sense from a threat modeling and risk perspective. For example, we discussed medical devices that are never going to be connected to anything. Well, I think history proved him that everything is connected to everything now. But I get your
obviously.
Get your point. All right. Thank you very much, Imri. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.